This is Dan Kedme, a producer on the Webby Award-winning podcast Masters of Scale. Our host, Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, has returned this summer with Season 3, and throughout this season, he'll share some truly surprising tales of scale. We've also asked our summer sponsor, the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, to share their own tales of scale. How do they help 2 billion people worldwide gain a foothold in the formal economy? They offered a series of solutions that you can hear throughout our show, or you can listen right now. Coming up, the dilemma of the Duka shop. On countless street corners in Nairobi, Kenya, you'll find a certain kind of mom-and-pop store.
Duka shops is what they're called. For those who live in New York, you can associate it with the bodega shops.
That's Parag Mehta, the executive director of the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth. And he loves talking shop about Duka shops.
These are tiny, tiny little shops where it's usually a person running it and maybe 2 or 3 of their family members who are the workers.
Parag and his team at MasterCard are interested in how the owners of these tiny little shops restock their shelves. Typically, a supplier shows up at their door with a clipboard in hand and says,
"How much do you want to buy of each of these products?" And they'd look at whatever cash they had in the register and they'd buy that amount of goods. That was limiting, right? Because they could only buy whatever cash they had on hand, and they were kind of sort of stuck in this system of cash-based purchases that didn't allow them to grow or get beyond what their capacity was to buy products.
When you only deal in cash, you can't establish credit. This cash-only conundrum kept more than 20,000 shopkeepers in Nairobi from stocking their shelves or expanding their stores. That is until MasterCard noticed something interesting on those suppliers' clipboards. How can a pile of clipboards help 20,000 shopkeepers?
It turns out that in Nairobi, 15% of the inventory of most of these Duka shops is actually Unilever products.
A light bulb went off at MasterCard.
Wait a minute, you at Unilever have something very valuable, which is you have transaction history. You have months, maybe years of data about each shopkeeper and their ability to buy stuff. We could use that as a proxy for credit in sort of the traditional Western sense. We're able to see if she's buying such and such inventory consistently over and over again, she has the capacity to sell. We know that she's doing well, her business is doing well, she's going to be able to pay back the loan.
MasterCard partnered with Unilever and brought on a local bank in Kenya to offer 20,000 shopkeepers their first line of credit and a lifeline out of the cash-only economy. With just one tap on their phone, a shopkeeper could go from cash buyer to digital borrower.
So now she's filling up her store with more merchandise, and she's going to sell that stuff, and then she's going to pay back, and she's going to buy more Unilever products and pay it back.
Suddenly, the shopkeeper doesn't just have a transaction history, but a real-time credit history. And that means banks can reevaluate her creditworthiness as new evidence rolls in.
The bank loan officer is going to look at that and say, wow, that's better credit history than I have on most people that I make loans to, because this is real-time information about borrowing and paying back that I can actually use to assess your creditworthiness.
And if 20,000 shopkeepers in Kenya can make a bank loan officer sit up and say, wow, then just imagine the possibilities for borrowers anywhere in the world who never imagined they could qualify for a loan.
Now suddenly that shopkeeper gets the loan, can expand their business, can tell their kids to stop working at the store and go back to school. It's an opportunity to move up in society. And what we are counting on, what we're betting on, is that these Jaza Duka shop owners and people like them all over the world, these high potential micro entrepreneurs, are strivers. They're the people who are not just going to become more successful and prosperous for themselves, they're going to bring along an entire community with them. They are a catalytic force for economic growth.
To learn more about Duka shops in Kenya and the center's mission as a force for good, visit mastercardcenter.org. That's mastercardcenter.org. Want to hear more Tales of Scale? Subscribe to Masters of Scale on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.